having an encounter with my soul gives me so much space to now understand how powerful my mind is in everything that I was doing. Because back then, when I was in this position of questioning myself and getting answers, it was only the mind that I was using. Yes, exactly, the mind. You and I have been able to get this opportunity to have this mind from our childhood. But for me, for sure, I get to a point that I understand, was it that I wasn't using the mind correctly, or I was just, using it as, I was using only a smaller portion of it. Because getting to have an encounter with my soul, as I said earlier, gives me so much space to realize the mind, because I was able to, put in so much thing in the mind and process a lot in my mind. My mind was like a rescue point for me, because whatever I was going through, I began to realize that it was only the mind that was my rescue point, or were a safe place for me. Because even though the soul was there, I was having this encounter with the soul, but before I can be able to understand something else, or before I can be able to get to know more about something, it was the mind that was getting all these connections. So I for sure take the mind to be the command center of my life, because this is where everything is going on. This is where I can be able to face everything that I want to face. Even the deepest secret that we can be able to think about, it is only in the mind that we put it, or it is only back in our mind, and we don't tell people. So the mind is one of the biggest machine that we can come across, and the scientists were able to come out with the fact that we process 10,000 thoughts in a day. So when we process 10,000 thoughts in a day, to me, even I think it is more than that. So if it is even more than 10,000 thoughts, which means as an individual, you have over 10,000, how do I say it? 10,000 reasons to be able to, put yourself on the right frequency and be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So I take the mind to be the radio set, because the mind works in such a way that when we wake up early in the morning, the mind tells us that we are alive, or the mind is what actually gives us that kind of a notification that you are alive. Because when you wake up, everything you want to do, it's the mind that speaks first. So I put that mind, compare that mind to the radio set, because when you pay attention to the radio set, when you put it on, so far as it is on, it begins to play, or it begins to brings you that sound, or that kind of information, or whatever you can be able to get from it. But one key different thing is that when you put the radio on, no matter what it is, even if it is not on your favorite dial, it keeps on working. It keeps on working. But if it is on your favorite dial, you begin to pick the right information you want and the right vibe you want. So putting it on the right dial gives you the right kind of right information or vibe. So the same way as the mind is always working. It's always alive. As I said earlier, that the mind is our aliveness. So it is always alive and it is always working. So but the only difference is that for so many ages we have not been able to pay attention to this mind so much to put it on the right frequency. So most of the time we think that, or we feel that this mind is just thinking. But paying attention to this mind gets me to understand that the mind is actually doing three things as you move. And these three things are to be thinking, to feel, and to make choices. The mind is thinking, the mind is feeling and making choices. Because when you actually sit down and you want to drink water, the mind actually gets this feeling first that you are thirsty and you need to consume water, and consuming that water gives you the satisfaction you want. And after feeling this kind of satisfaction, then you can be able to make choices if you want to stand up and go and take this water, or you want to still hold on to yourself. And it applies in so many different ways. We make these kind of choices every day in everything that we do. We think, we feel, and we make so many choices from every single thing we do, every little thing that we can think about. The mind is actually working there. So the mind is our aliveness, and the mind is the command center of our life. The mind is everything for us. So for us to be able to put the mind in the right frequency, we need to start putting in the right thing, because the mind works in such a way that it's more or less like a program. So whatever you put in, that is what you get outside. So when you are having a bad day, or when you are in a position of trauma, negativity, or fear, or anxiety, you should know very well that this is what you are actually processing in your mind. That is why you are actually seeing this reality, or seeing yourself to be moving in this reality. So if you are able to put the mind into the kind of vibe of happiness, joy, love, and positivity, definitely you are going to get these results, or this is what you are going to get back. So what I actually want to stress on is that the mind is very powerful, and the mind is doing a whole lot of work, even when we can be able to notice it or not. As I stated earlier with the example of the radio station, even if we don't pay attention to it, it is working. So many thoughts are coming in, because these thoughts are more like frequencies, or they are more like energies that are coming in, and we can be able to stop them from coming in. But we need to realize that we are the observers of our thoughts. So we need to observe these thoughts, and when these thoughts are good for us, we jump into it. But when they are not good for us, we need to leave it alone. But when I pay critical attention, I realize that the negative thoughts, they are very, they are much more in a position whereby they hold so much power that whenever the negative thoughts comes in our mind, we pay so much attention to it, we give it so much space, we feed on it so much. But when the positive thoughts comes in, we spend little space with it, and we let it go, because it seems we enjoy so much of the last, or the negativity that we are having. But when we have a negative outcome or negative results, then we begin to complain about everything around us. But it's actually not anything. What we are processing inside, that is what we are getting outside. So I want to stress so much that the mind is very powerful. The mind is our aliveness. The mind holds so much that we can be able to think of. This is not your first time existing on this earth. You have been here for some time now, and the mind can be able to bring things that you have experienced in the different lifetimes before. But since you are new in this physical flesh, you can be able to pay attention to it. But when you begin to awaken your soul, you can be able to now realize all these things and pay much attention to the mind. Because with the mind, we can achieve anything we want to achieve. We can be whoever we want to be. We can be able to face that kind of trauma, that kind of fear, that kind of anxiety, that kind of poverty, and be able to clear it on our way, and put ourselves in a different kind of frequency, and we can be able to hear from source very well. We can be able to hear from source so much that we begin to live a different life. We begin to put ourselves on a higher frequency. Like I said earlier, that we should seek the kingdom of God, because in seeking this kingdom of God, or awakening our soul, the mind is the bigger part of us, or the mind is going to play a very bigger role in doing these things. So we need to pay so much attention to our mind. We need to give it that kind of a space to explore it, and be able to know that this mind is the reason why you and I are getting or feeling anything that we are feeling around us. So for us to change it from negativity to positivity, we need to start putting in positive thoughts. We need to start feeding on more positive thoughts. That is the only time we can be able to get the positive results. So the mind is our aliveness, and the mind is thinking, the mind is feeling, the mind is making choices. So what are you thinking about? What are you actually feeling? And what choices are you actually actually making, and what frequency or what dial do you want to be? Do you want to be on the dial of negativity, or you still want to be on the dial of positivity? It is all up to you. You can be able to make the choices, and these results are going to be the results you are going to see. But I will categorically state that please shift, or be able to put your mind on positive thoughts, or be able to put your mind on love, and be able to put your mind on happiness, and you will see a lot of difference around you. You will see a lot of changes around you. It is difficult to achieve, but I will encourage you to be able to spend more time in there and do that. Thank you very much.